San Francisco, where there's a big international conference going on about obesity. Now, neither you nor I might like the word obesity, but it is a problem facing the Western world at the moment in epidemic proportions, and they've got to figure out what to do about it. So here is where all of the big brains who really know their stuff about obesity are meeting.
It was a bit like a trade show on one hand, displaying everything from specially big hospital beds and hoists to luxury massage chairs. But there were also serious medical lectures and opinions, like this from an Australian expert we'll hear more from later.
People who are obese are discriminated against, stigmatised against. They even think themselves as blamed for the illness or disease that they have. And yet it's probably a combination of genetics and maybe even aspects of early life feeding, and now, of course, the environment of the last 20 or 30 years.
One doctor reported how he treated a group of obese children in Brazil. He said they were so debilitated by their weight that their quality of life was the same as children undergoing chemotherapy for cancer. I've just come out of two presentations just in there now. One's about the link between depression and obesity, and the other one's about racial variations. And they've just said that there's a distinct link between depression and obesity, and it's actually much harder for women in society if they're overweight than it is for men. They called it a greater psychosocial burden on women than men. From the racial study, it was quite interesting. They reported that 77% of American African women are obese. That's an incredibly high number. And they found it more difficult to lose weight as well than Caucasians. They reckon that it's not just a sociological thing. There may be a biological reason. 21% of us Brits are obese, and the figure will rise while experts look for a treatment that's going to work. Merely telling people to exercise more and eat less is not working. That's what these experts think. So what is and isn't obesity?
Obesity is a problem of excessive fat, and it produces a whole lot of diseases and problems, physical disability, illnesses, and psychological impairment.
Is obesity itself a disease?
Yes, it is. It's no less a disease than the diabetes or the arthritis and the other conditions that it actually drives and produces. So it's a disease. It produces illness and disability, so it's very much a disease.
Is anyone to blame for it?
No, I think if anyone's to blame for it, it's our modern society. It's the way we eat, it's the way we move, it's the way we function. Unfortunately, those that have developed obesity in our community are the victims of our general society, our current environment. It's a poisonous environment for some of us that have some people who have the genetics to put on weight.
So are you saying it's a matter of luck as to whether me or my next door neighbour develops obesity?
Absolutely. I think it's more related to your predisposition to obesity through the genes, through what your parents gave you. I think if you take that and you move into this environment where we've got everything allowing us to move less and plentiful, fatty, high energy dense foods, there's a group of people who will develop obesity. We've got to change our environment with respect to food and
change our attitudes towards obesity itself.
Change our attitudes towards obesity, absolutely. People who are obese are discriminated against, stigmatised against. They even think themselves as blamed for the illness or disease that they have. And yet it's probably a combination of genetics and maybe even aspects of early life feeding, and now, of course, the environment of the last 20 or 30 years. These people should stand up and demand better treatment. They should demand respect. They're the victims of the modern society. They're not people who have induced this themselves. I've never seen anyone decide, oh, I'm going to become obese.
No, but it's thought that they're obese because they're lazy. They've got bad habits.
They're not lazy.
They've let themselves go.
They speak to themselves. What they are is particularly hungry. They don't have the switch off that some of us have after a meal. They're always hungry. They're always ready to eat, and that's not their fault. It's a fault of their genes. They've got thrifty genes. They're wanting to save weight. They're wanting to not starve in this environment in the environment. And unfortunately, this is an environment that is not prone to starvation.
Look out for more reports from San Francisco, particularly if you're interested in obesity surgery.